GM, we are live and we are not waiting for anyone. It is, oh my God. And, last stream I started with pick 12. This time I get the Influencer 101. It must be thanks to Bindles. Thanks for stopping by. And Nick, you two in the chat this early, you were like the spirit bomb of this channel, channeling your energy to get me a 101. So thank you, Tiger Uppercut. Thank you for joining. Yeah, we got the 101. I don't see anyone in there that I know, unless this is actually the true hit 'em with the gritty. I don't feel like I've ever actually drafted with the real gritty. So this would be very exciting if I do. And he's all the way on the other side of the board, far, far away from me. So if he does anything, any really crazy builds, I am not going to be impacted because I am way upwind of all that. So I will take Jamar Chase to start. The rankings in here are the latest Davis Maddox rankings. I quite like his order. You can get those from his Patreon. I found myself often agreeing with them. I switch up the rankings I use. I also sometimes use the leg up rankings, and those are the two I've used this draft season. I am down to my last 9 drafts here. I only have, after this, I will have 8 remaining, but we are so close to the draft. I'm going to try to put my, what are we at? 141 out of 150. I cannot believe we're already here this close to the end. The NFL draft, of course, we are less than 2 weeks away. Next Thursday, which is just crazy to think about. Also crazy to think about. I think I'm going to be in a non-underdog state when the big board launches, which is truly devastating. Because I don't think it will launch before I leave to where I can get in a bunch of slows. I think I'm literally going to just be the SpongeBob meme, just watching Patrick and SpongeBob just having the time of their life, getting all of the early ADP value as I watch that all just drift closer and closer to efficiency as I cope and seethe. But, hopefully, hopefully there is still a little bit of value left in May. Although thinking back on it, if I remember right, a lot of the, a higher percent of the big board finals teams were drafted in May. So maybe you don't really need to, be there on opening day, but it does seem like you do get teams and combinations, whether they're better or not. We don't know until the end, but there will be combinations available right when the contest opens that simply will not be available later. So if this is the true gritty, they open with Derrick Henry. The first 11 picks, no one deviated from the standard order. Lately, I've seen a lot of Gene T brought up there. There are some best ball extremists who have been taking Brock Bowers in the first round. I've somewhat come around to that argument, depending on what you get coming back. If you want to tell me Drake London is a first round talent, and you take Bowers first to lock that in, and then you go Bowers London, I don't think that's a significant drop off from, say, this, kind of 8 to 11 tier of Thomas, Puka, Neighbors, Amon-Ra. I think there's a reason we're taking London a little after them, but I don't think it's a massive drop in projection there. So we do see, if this is the real gritty, going robust RB with a Henry, McCaffrey start. Nick is confirming that is him. So this is exciting because I don't think I've actually drafted with him before. 101 is the best pick every year. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I would have agreed until last year when I advanced 0 of 22 Christian McCaffrey teams in BBM. And I'm pretty sure the majority of them I had the 101. He fell to 2 or 3 a couple times, but I think I did not advance a single 101 team. Now you may say, well, that's a skill issue because McCaffrey teams, some of them made it through in spite of that, but I did not. I did not. It was it was a bit of a trap for me last season. Results, I don't know. Yeah, you know what's funny is you also say this, but hold on, I'm gonna make my selections here. Let me sort by ADP, make sure I'm not missing anything. My preference would be Bucky and Garrett Wilson, I think. Yeah, I'm just gonna take Bucky Wilson. I think Bucky represents the end of a running back tier, and I'm still of the view that Garrett Wilson should go way earlier. Uh, should go closer to the 1-2 turn than the 2-3 turn. Um, but yeah, a lot of people are saying, and thank you for reminding me. I should have the board up so people can see what's going on. That when you get to these picks here, 48, 49, and even I guess the 2-3 picks, it feels not as good as when you're drafting in this 36, 37, like at the 3-4 turn. So there are people who have been saying more and more that the left side of the board is not as fun to draft on as the right side. Now maybe there's an exception for the 101, and this more applies to 2, 3, and 4. And I could see that argument because you do feel pretty good getting Jamar Chase, kind of no matter how the rest of things roll out for you, because you have that elite wide receiver firepower. And if you want to go Chase and 2 running backs, you can make an argument for that. If you want to go pure piss boy, and then say I have the best receiver and I have 2 really good receivers, like you're not going to catch me, I think you can make pretty compelling cases there as well. So yeah, Tiger uppercut. That's a long way of saying I don't think you're wrong that the 101 is the best pick, but there are, let's see what these people are getting. Like Xavier Worthy at 34. That to me that feels really good. Now there's the Rice people out there may hate that, and you were able to get Worthy earlier, at 39, 40. So this is somewhat of a rise for him. Let's see what Gritty does. I'm excited. I hope he takes another running back so I can be a part of a classic Gritty draft. Or if he takes Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. What happened? The pick just disappeared. Oh, he takes Lamar. Is he going to do it? Oh my gosh, I might be witnessing history. I am excited. Come on, take another elite quarterback. I have always wanted to see this in action. I know all of you are here. You're not here for me. You joined this draft hoping that Hit Him with the Gritty would be in the room and we could watch him. But he is winding the clock down to 00. I can see the thought and the smoke coming out, and he takes Marvin Harrison Jr. So I'm sorry, guys. No refunds. We're just seeing kind of a standard, robust RB draft. Nick, I would have laid minus 200 that he was taking Jaden Daniels there. This is, maybe he only tweets out the fun picks, and actually he's a pretty standard drafter. Yeah, that's I'm sorry, guys. I was really trying to give the people what they want, and I feel a little like I let you down. So hopefully, at 48 and 49, I can make that up to you. But Gritty doing that, not too odd. Slick Willie, however, in true, someone named Slick Willie, they're going to try to sneak things in, and he is trying to sneak in triple elite running back, Bijan, Taylor, and Jacobs. That's a pretty good fall on Jacobs, but man, he needs to know ball if he's going to catch up, because he is going to be way behind at running back. Now, this guy gets a McLaurin Daniels stack in the wild. This is actually, I love this team. My goodness. Short drag 4-11. Some people get all the breaks in life. And he gets Daniels with McLaurin. Trey McBride is one of my favorite clicks in the second round. And CeeDee Lamb, we were taking him at the 102, and now his QB is healthy. So, I'll see if I can message him and see if he wants to trade teams when this is over. I'll let you all know if I'm able to swing that. Unfortunately for me, I'm not necessarily in love with these options. And this goes back to the left side not being as fun, right? So I do like George Kittle a lot. I am going to take him here, and I'm going to take another wide receiver. You know what? I'm going to take George Kittle, and then I'm going to take Jalen Waddle. And I'm kind of agnostic to a lot of these receivers. I've wanted to get a little more Waddle, but Waddle never goes at 72, right? It's not like I could ever, on no planet could I push him here. So there's not going to be a ton of Waddle chase teams. So I don't mind reaching up in that spot. When you're on the turn, I feel like the people in the 12 hole kind of know they got to get loose, but people in the 1 hole can be a little more, have a tendency to kind of stick to ADP a little more because it's like I don't want to drop the baby because I've got 3 elite players, but I do want to mix up some of these exposures. And again, I don't think there's going to be a lot of Waddle chase teams, and I don't feel like I was giving up too much passing on like Zay Flowers or Ted McMillan, especially with the possibility that like Tyreek gets traded. I know I'm sure the Dolphins would love to trade him. I just don't know if that's realistically going to happen with him signed to a giant contract and now kind of a lot of off the field problems. Yeah, he probably does have a lot of Lamar Daniels team. So I'm certainly sympathetic to mixing in some better constructions. I think that makes sense. So 5 running backs in a row. I am Kaz. He saw Slick Willie and said, I also would like 3 running backs. I like those 3. Joe Mixon was falling and could definitely be a big loser at the draft. And Chuba Hubbard has been sliding from the mid to late 40s down into the 50s. So we've been seeing that a lot. It used to be a little bit difficult to get Mixon and Hubbard together unless you took them on one of the turns. I think it's a little unusual to get them at the 5 or 6 hole. At least it was when this contest opened for a few months. Oh, Gritty takes Jalen Hurts. He could not resist. He said, Jalen Hurts at 60. I will not let anybody make me a fool. And so he snags Hurts there. Had Devontae fallen to me at 48, I would have done a Devontae Hurts double click, but that didn't happen. And so I would have been perfectly happy taking Hurts at, 48, 49. 60 is a huge value, but, you kind of made your bed with the Lamar Jackson pick. So, again, and then he takes Travion Henderson. 1 wide receiver through 6 rounds. But you know what? That's why he's hitting with the Gritty. Everybody knows who this guy is. Nobody knows who I am because, I don't have the courage that Gritty has to just make really weird constructions that have empirically been proven to be suboptimal and then proudly tweet them out. I wish I could do that, but I can't. For some reason. So I just, I continue to, just make these kind of standard teams. I do try to get a little weird with my stuff, like picking up Waddle, but nobody's going to follow me on Twitter because I drafted Jalen Waddle at 49. I've just come to learn that, and that's okay. That's okay. We'll see what comes around. I could really take any position except for tight or what am I talking about? Except for tight end here. I don't need a tight end. Let's see what is coming around to me. Running back options. Yeah, it gets gross. This side of the board really isn't fun. If I sort by ADP, there's a faller on Jerry Jeudy. Ricky Pearsall's there. If I sort by the Matic rankings, Caleb Johnson is intriguing. I might take him I'm going to star Caleb here. I'm kind of out on Montgomery. That's a little bit of a personal choice. The running backs at 96, 97 are really bad. And then at 120, you've missed Scatabo in all likelihood. So I really need to take a running back here, possibly two running backs if we're being real. So I'll take Caleb, and then, this is pretty gross. It's pretty gross. I'm gonna take Luther Burden, the third. I'm going to take Luther Burden the third here. I think he has the potential to be the most exciting fantasy option at receiver, more so potentially than Golden and Egbuka, although I certainly see an argument for taking any of them. I'm generally just out on Jerry Jeudy. Maybe he'll be better with Joe Flacco, but I don't know. I really just don't think Jerry Jeudy is that good, personally. So to start off the team, we got Bucky and Caleb at running back, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Luther Burden at receiver, and George Kittle at tight end. So not too bad of a start, but I certainly, again, these guys on the right side do feel a little better than some of these guys out here on the left. Maybe I can get a falling value at running back at 96 or 97, but that will likely be, for me, a quarterback pick. I guess I could have taken Pearsall and then Purdy and built a little Niner double stack. You could make that argument. But at least with this build, I'm going to have a few options at quarterback. I can have a Tua team. I could have a Purdy team. I could have a Fields team, and all of them, Fields and Purdy, potential picks here. And then Tua goes in the 130, so I might have to reach for him if he is who I want to end up stacking up. We'll see. We will see. Kevin says, it's fun if you just draft the guys you want. ADP is just a suggestion in ominous air quotes. ADP is a social construct, as they say. And I do agree that we too often are slaves to the ADP, to big ADP, and we don't need to do that. And I try not to do that. But I also, earlier in the draft where the markets are more efficient and the difference between, a fifth and seventh rounder is pretty big, whereas the difference between a, 16th and 20th rounder is legitimately zero. So I think, abandoning ADP is better the later you go. Might be hard to get an RB faller in this room. Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that Tiger uppercut. We have some, hit him with the gritty. Already now has 4 running backs. Still only has 1 wide receiver. My God. I am Kaz has 4 running backs. So yeah, the running back thirst is real. Had there been 2, I would have double tapped 2 that I was into, but I really don't love David Montgomery. I don't know what it is. That might be a bit of a leak. If his role is exactly what it was last year, then all I'm doing is punishing him for getting hurt late, and that's that's not great. But yep. All right. So there goes Jalen McMillan, which is earlier than he's been going. What's going on in wide receiver land? Is this thinned out? Yeah, it's pretty thin here. Not a ton of value in the wide receiver pool. So I am glad I've gotten 4. I am coming up here. I could potentially take Jonnu. I could do a big reach. You know what, guys? I know why you're all here, and it's to see me take Cam Scatabo. So I am going to take Scatabo. Then the question is, do I want Purdy? Or do I want to take like a Jonnu and build a Dolphins double stack? And that is a little bit of a conundrum for me. I don't think there's a reason for me to take Knicks. I don't think I want to make this a Justin Fields team. Um, interesting. I'm just gonna take Brock Purdy. Taking Kittle diverted me from some of the early running backs. You can get a pretty solid running back at 48, and I passed on that. So I'm really need Kittle to pay off his ADP, and if he does that, we're going to need Brock Purdy to be that efficiency monster we all know he can be. Reason for taking Scatabo is if you look at this wide receivers left, I mean, we've got the backup running back in Seattle. We've got a real big injury question mark. We've got Brian Robinson, who, all the rumors are that Washington's going to take somebody. We have DeAndre Swift, who Ben Johnson hates and is now reunited with, and all the smoke is the Bears are going to take somebody. Jordan Mason, maybe he's the goal line back. Hopefully he's the goal line back. Backup, unproven guy who might not be getting draft capital. Like this range of running back is really, really not fun to have as your third running back where they're going to be playing at least twice and you're hoping they're hitting lineups. It's tough. It is tough at running back these days. But then you get to late running back and you get a lot of mystery boxes you're excited about. Your Damian Martinez's, your Giddens, your Harveys, that whole range. And then guys who also have contingent upside. Tyler Algier, Jerome Ford might be a starter. Braylon Allen has, potentially big upside. So it's really hard for me to be taking those running backs in the 120s when, after Scatabo goes, because, I am a Scatabo truther. I will make no bones about that. But, that's kind of my logic there. Opinions may vary, obviously. Zach Charbonnet, he's not a bad pick. He had some really big weeks last year, and there is some concern with Ken Walker. But yeah, again, I like getting out of there with not needing to take a back in that range. So hit him with the gritty begins their journey to complete their wide receiver room, taking Rashad Bateman and Keon Coleman. So now he has a little Ravens double stack, which is nice. Andrews and Bateman. Keon Coleman, someone I have negative faith in. He really, I think we all got psyoped by his interviews last year, during training camp. He was really funny, a really personable guy, but I don't know. It didn't seem like the team trusted him. There's always, these guys do have the chance to improve. He's a, young enough player. They used decent draft capital, but I don't know. I don't know what you saw out of Coleman to give you a whole heck of a lot of faith that he was going to be the guy. All right. So I am Kaz taking Herbert unstacked. It's understandable. QBs are starting to go fast and thick. We had 5 go in the 9th round, including 3 in the back half of it. Hollywood and Pittman go, and let's see what we're left with. Dear God. Okay. This is such a brutal range left. I have no need for Jared Goff. I think I'm going to queue up Njoku because I really do like David Njoku here. And then the question is Jaden Higgins or Trey Harris for me. I think I'm going to go Higgins. Wide receiver gets pretty bad. Trey Harris was going ahead of Higgins for the majority of the draft. This is a big rise for Higgins, but, I guess I could take Tootin here. I'm going to take Higgins. There's no chance he's going to come around. I think I do need a fifth receiver more than I need a 4th running back, especially Bucky is going to be my anchor, and I'm hoping one of these two, Caleb or Scatabo, has a reasonable enough job on day one. But I'm gonna shoot straight with you, chat. Again, this is a safe place. I don't think this is the best team I've ever constructed. I don't think this is lining up to be the one I am most comfortable with. Um, and maybe it is the George Kittle diversion early. Um, Maybe I would have felt better if that was, a Jordan Addison or something. But, you know, the left side, it is tricky. And a huge amount of steam has come in on a lot of these wide receivers. Marvin Mims used to be reliably available here. Rashad Bateman's a guy you could see there. Um, and taking one of those second quarterbacks unstacked did not make a ton of sense. Yeah, the Bills offense, it's like you want Josh Allen, and then who do you stack him with? I mean, there's really no clear answer, and it's going to vary week by week. It's like they can put up 35 points and then like none of the ancillary pieces get there somehow. It's really remarkable. Tyler, welcome. Thank you again. Thank you for stopping by. Working on this team out of the one hole, and yeah, it's tough going from the one hole these days from this left side of the board. But you know what? We're gonna try to land this plane. It would be nice if we got a fall on our boy Tua. I said he went in the 130s. That's actually over on DraftKings. His ADP is right around where I'm taking him. Let's see, where is the Tyreek drafter? The Tyreek drafter has Mahomes, and so hopefully they decide that's enough. That is enough for them, and they don't actually need another quarterback. But I've got a bad feeling that they are going to take my guy. But we will see. We will see. Hit him with the gritty. Goes triple tight end. Still only has 3 receivers: Marvin Harrison, Bateman, and Coleman, and then adds Goddard and Likely. So really leaning on ball knowing of late wide receivers. Very interesting stuff. Wow, yeah, quarterbacks are going thick and fast. And at 168, 169, there's almost nothing left. Geno may not be there. An unstacked Sam Darnold is not the most pleasant option. So I am in a little bit of a bind here as to what I want to do. It doesn't help having taken 2. Oh, there goes Tua. There goes Tua. So now we are just in the proverbial world of pain here. Michael Penix goes. All right. We don't want to panic. But we are at the point of panicking here. I almost think I'm going to double tap quarterback, but double tapping unstacked quarterback really does feel like not the move. I did draft Brock Purdy, somewhat early with the intention of him being a useful member of the team. So, I think we're just going to do a Thielen, Bryce Young stack here. This is sort of a bit of a bailout stack you can make. Remember, guys, it's not your first 5 receivers you want to stack. It's your 6th receiver. That's no, I'm just kidding, guys. That's kind of something you tell yourself so you have stacks. But it was getting thin. I did want another quarterback, and I don't mind. I don't mind Bryce Young this year. I do feel like he was showing some real improvement. Thielen's a little bit of a scary click because he's the age cliff will get him. There are rumors they're going to bring in another receiver, so there's a chance if the youth movement really takes over, he could be the odd man out. But he was a good player. He's still shown that he can spike and definitely has rapport with Cam Young. I would not expect anything else from you, Tyler. That is You and quarterbacks in this draft have that in common. I still have the Flacco and Joku stack available. Yeah, if I had faith that Flacco would be playing late in the season, I would be inclined to agree. I think I would rather. Yeah, I know, but you entered the chat, and then all of a sudden, there was a drastic vibe shift, and all of a sudden, the subconscious kicked in, and we were off to the races there. Um, but yeah, if I think I'd rather take a shot on Sanders or Dart and hope that's who's throwing the ball to Njoku late in the year in Cleveland, rather than Flacco, who I'm pretty confident won't be the guy. Um, that's my only thought there. Yeah, I mean, thank you, Tyler. We do love the raunchiness. If you knew Flacco was starting, we yeah, he'd be. I would guess he'd be in the 150s. I feel like 160. I feel like I'd take him around like Geno Smith. Maybe that's bad, um, but that's my. I think he would go. Yeah, I think I would take him around Geno and Darnold. Um, if I had that crystal ball, um, that Flacco was the guy there. Because yeah, I mean he there are backup quarterbacks who they come in and the coach is like just don't do anything stupid. They're kind of game managers, and then you have like guys like Flacco and Winston who go in and they're just like I'm just throwing the ball. Like I am not here to develop skills. I'm not here to manage the game. I am here to score touchdowns and might throw some pick sixes with it. And Flacco is certainly in that camp. I meant to pull up the board. My God, Gritty takes another quarterback. Does stack him with Alec Pierce. He takes A Rich at 156. John Sonquest goes T-Law, Stafford, and Cam Ward all in a row. So he triple clicks quarterbacks. The fun running backs, RJ Harvey and DJ Giddens, who you could reliably get in the 180s and 190s, go in the 160s. I am thanking God every day. I only have 8 of these left because I don't know who I'm going to click on late because everybody I normally click on, somebody else has hit the button. My goodness, this is sketchy here, folks. This is sketchy. I might take my unstacked Geno here in all seriousness if Mind's Bit does not take him, waiting with bated breath for his selection. He takes Spears. So I will take unstacked Geno. I think Geno in a dome is actually a completely different animal. And then at running back, I will take I think I'll take Braylon Allen on this team. I don't mind these 2 clicks here. Yes, would it be better if I had a stacked Geno? Sure, but the Raiders are going to draft Luther Burden, and that's going to be great. And they're also going to take Cam Scatabo, who Geno can dump the ball off to. So this is pretty good. This is pretty good here. But yeah, Braylon Allen, with the potential for a Breece Hall departure, there's been some weirdness around there. I don't mind taking Braylon Allen at this point in the draft. I will pull up the board so people can watch. Gritty loves AR. What could go wrong? He was hammering Fields early, though, so props. Yeah, I thought I was hammering Fields early, and then like when he signed with the Jets, I looked and I had like 9% or something, and it was clearly not hammering him as hard. Oh God, I was not taking as much of him as I thought I was, but yeah, it has definitely become more difficult to draft these when the market. It's either become more efficient or perceived efficient as the ADPs have adjusted. Like Jalen Knoll you could get him in the 200s, and now here he is at 157. Brenton Strange, a guy who was undrafted for a long time, there he is at 176. So I will say that the teams and combinations that you're getting today are definitely not the same as you were able to get previously. But I am glad I got my third quarterback, because I do think this team probably needs it with a little bit of question marks, and Bryce Young as QB2. Brock Purdy tends to get there on extreme efficiency, and the Niners can be very run heavy. So I know there's going to be some down games for Purdy, just kind of by the nature of how that team operates. So I did want at least I did want two quarterbacks when I have Purdy as my number one. I do understand the argument that might be more of a safety mindset, but again, I do think there's going to be enough weeks where I need I need someone else hitting my lineup, that in a 20 round format. I did want to end with 3, hit him with the gritty, continuing his A-Rich stack with Mitchell makes a lot of sense. Io Manor, a somewhat popular rookie selection, although the steam on him has come down a little bit. Damian Martinez, another guy you could get late, has been getting mocked early to places. The sort of dream landing spot I've seen thrown around is Pittsburgh, kind of a big power back. Seems like he is destined to get either good draft capital or good landing spot, and possibly both. So he is one of those comfier late round clicks that are harder and harder to get. Isaiah Bond at 185. I think that's somebody who is using ranks from last week. Isaiah Bond turned himself in on some charges. It doesn't sound great, but I don't see I see him falling in other drafts I've done. I think yesterday I actually autoed him in the 19th round and was devastated, because I had not updated my rankings, and I definitely have some significant concerns that we are drafting Jermaine Burton 2.0. So the good news is this team can pretty much take whichever position that I fancy. I like Brashard Smith quite a bit, the old converted wide receiver to running back. Although, again, I'm kind of used to taking him in round 20. But as we discussed earlier, oh my God, Brashard Smith just vanishes from my eyes. That was a little unfortunate. All right, I will take Jack Betch. And you know who else I'm going to take? I'm going to take Zach Ertz. I don't have a lot of Zach Ertz, and I don't only want him on teams where I have Jaden Daniels. Certainly could make the argument I could have stopped at 2 tight ends with Kittle and Njoku. But frankly, once Brashard Smith kind of went there, this range of running backs is really kind of all the same to me. And so, whereas the tight ends, now we're starting to look at a lot more of kind of dart throws. So, maybe a little bit of a snap decision there, but I don't mind adding Ertz, and he's a guy that I have wanted to get a little more of in the contest, because he was the first free agent that the new regime signed last year. Like, free agency opened and they handed him a pen immediately, like, slid it under the door and off they went. T. Ed Scatabo at 96. The problem is that Scatabo's ADP is 111, and putting him over here, and I'm drafting over here, and I wasn't going to get him. So if I didn't get him at 96, I wasn't going to get him at all. And I do really feel like he represents the end of a running back tier, of the tier of guys you think um, could have starting or every week roles versus being more contingent upsidey um, at that point. So yeah, it's definitely aggressive. It's definitely aggressive because you could have gotten him at 120 earlier, um, earlier in the process, and taking him at 96 does not feel great. But again, we have to adjust to these new prices on players, and it has made me very uncomfortable. This draft has been a challenge, I have to say. I will review. What I'll do is I will make my 18-19 picks, and then I'll hop in another if anyone wants to join, and then I'll just queue up a bunch of whatever position I'm taking last at 240. So again, hit him with the gritty. Io Manor, Mitchell, Cooks, and Michael Wilson as he tries to catch up at receiver. I guess the big news in the last few days was that Derek Carr might not play this season. Kind of shocking. Um, I can't remember who said it, if it was Davis or what I was listening to, where they were kind of wondering aloud why the Saints sort of let that information out a week and a half before the draft, because it just screams like we need a quarterback, and that might not be information you want other teams to have picking ahead of you, or potentially trading up or whatnot. Which I do think is a good point. Don't know, you know, don't know why that came out when it did, but that certainly changes the calculus with some of the rookie quarterbacks. I think it might have saved the Jackson Dart bags. The game of musical chairs was looking pretty grim when Russ went over to the Giants. And now that Flacco is in Cleveland, that's another, potential spot where we don't think Flacco's, locked into play all season. Whereas if they had gotten Kirk Cousins, we would really be, it's much more likely Kirk Cousins will play a full year than Joe Flacco will, with those, um, with how that all shook out. So we are coming up 3-4-7-3. 3-4-7-3. So I think I will queue up. Where are you, Mr. Tucker? Did somebody take him? Oh my God! Somebody even took Trey Tucker. This is a scene, guys. This is a scene. All right, so I will take I will let Liam take the wheel, and I will take Darius Slayton, and then I will take I'll take Jarquez Hunter. I haven't really taken much Jarquez Hunter, but I want to start mixing in some of the elite rookies. So my last pick will be a rookie, and I will queue up some of these guys and then hop into another. I'll review the team before I do that. I don't actually really want Will Shipley, guys. I'm going to be honest. And then somebody. All right, you know what? If I don't get one of these guys, then my God, it wasn't meant to be. Okay, so going over the team, we've got Brock Purdy, Bryce Young, and Geno at QB. You know what? Before I continue, T-Eds, I'm just going to put this message up so everybody knows why this team is kind of mid. So I got Brock Purdy, Bryce Young, Geno Smith at QB, Bucky Irving, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatterbo, Braylon Allen, Jarquez Hunter, and a mystery running back at Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins, Adam Thielen, Jack Betch, and Darius Slayton at receiver, and Kittle, Njoku, and Ertz at tight end. So I will do one more. We'll do one more. I'm going to hop in now. And yeah, all right, T-Eds, I will click in the button. Here we go. Oh, we're waiting for 9. So if anyone wants to get in, this is a golden opportunity. Golden opportunity. So hold on. Waiting for 9 on another. Just going to see if anyone wants to hop in. Waiting for 9 if anyone wants in. All right. We are down to waiting for 6. Waiting for 6. Yeah, T-Eds, I think my overall opinion after drafting from there is the one hole really isn't fun. It's always harder to draft on the turns, because if there's not like a faller that fell to you, odds are whoever's right there at ADP isn't necessarily who you want. Like, it might just be a player you don't like, or it might be a position you don't need. And now you're reaching, and so it feels like you're just like hemorrhaging ADP value to kind of construct a team that makes sense. It's like, yeah, that team wasn't like bad, but it's not one of those teams where you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, this team feels good. Yeah, T-Eds, I think that's become the consensus at the back end of the draft is indeed better. All right. Waiting for 3. You know what? I didn't put on the Ducks. That's probably why the draft felt kind of, that resolves. But T-Eds, I appreciate you coming by. I will make sure to try to review your team as we go, because it's always much more fun to do these with y'all. So, waiting for 3. I guess I can update the banner. This is officially Big Board 142 out of 150. I really can't believe we are already at this point in the draft cycle. It is crazy. Yeah. No, I like streaming on the weekends. I know, a lot of people are out and about, but a lot of people also, like, this is the only time they can, really consume content. So been trying to mix up when I hop on. Tiger uppercut. Let's go. Rainy day here. It was pouring here yesterday, and today it's just kind of gloomy but dry, which is nice, because I got to take the kid to the park, which was much needed, because he was banging on the door saying park. He's about 1.5 years old, and that's one of his words. And it's just so heartbreaking, like, telling him, like, no, buddy, not today. And he just doesn't know why. He probably wouldn't have minded being in the rain, to be honest, but putting him on a slide in the rain is just suboptimal for everyone. So here we go. We are launching. All right. So I am here at the 107 Tiger uppercut. I see you there at 6. And T-Eds with the 101. The 101. I'm sorry that happened to you, but I mean, honestly, any team that starts with Jamar Chase, you do feel like has a chance. And if this room, that room had some weird stuff going on, you had Gritty sucking up running backs along with another one. So I don't know. It felt like there wasn't a lot of value. It was super slappy room. All the rookies we're excited about were going early. Tiger 101's always the best. I hate drafting from here. Inside you, best ball drafters, there are 2 wolves, and one of them loves the 101, and one of them hates it. And What are your thoughts on Burrow at 4.5? I've been hesitant to do it. T-Eds, I never did it early in the contest because you could get him at 6.7, and I don't think I've seen Burrow at 6.7 in weeks. So I think if you want the stack, you just got to bite the bullet and do it. Yes, there's going to be teams that got him later, but again, it's not like you lose a pick. You just get different people, and it's not like there's bad players there at 72, 73. So I don't mind it. I'll put it this way. Like, your team shows up at the finals with Jamar Chase, you're not going to be mad that you have Joe Burrow stacked with him, right? You're going to be up against, if Chase is the guy you need to get to the finals, you're going to be up against a lot of stacked Chases. But again, I don't think it puts you behind. I don't think it puts you ahead. But if they both go off, you will not be sad you have him. That's kind of where I'm at. The problem is that Burrow at 4.5 is not that fun. Yes. I'm 100 drafts in and certainly under Burrow because I was pushing it early and rarely got it. I'm sure if I looked at my exposures, it would be almost that exact story. So I am here at 7. I guess I'll take Puka. I'm not a huge Puka guy, but I also don't want to fade him. Yeah, that's fine. I'm always really excited if I get like Lamb or Jefferson at 7. Whereas if I think that first 6 to me represents a tier. And if nobody falls, then the 7 is kind of like, yeah, I'd be just as happy with Nico, Neighbors, Amon Ra, or BTJ, frankly. But the 7 also stinks. I don't like Puka there either. And you're not a huge Puka guy or Mortal Enemies. Now, I should like Puka more because he's just pure vibes. Like, I think, was it like he didn't know who the other teams in his division were or something? Like some like, not even like NFL player, but like NFL fan level knowledge. He was just, hold on. I interrupt this Puka chat to bring you the gritty extreme Daniel D. Garcia, Alan Lamar start. Of course, now we are on Please Don't Throw the Draft Out watch, which is never where you want to be. But yeah, I don't know. Tyler, talk me off the ledge. He was getting there. I don't know. This is really good content. Me stumbling over my words trying to explain why I don't like the guy that smashed the rookie receiving record. You know what? Fine. I'm a big Puka guy. I capitulate. He's an outstanding player. He's got Stafford. He plays in the dome. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just maybe it's them bringing Adams in, who I'm very high on. I want to think it's a rising tide lifting all boats situation. But maybe I have this unfair idea in my head that he's a little injury prone, which again, I don't necessarily know reflects reality, but, I don't know. Maybe it's just like clinging to priors, kind of not seeing, having heard the drumbeat about him before his rookie season, but not, listening closely enough. But yeah, I am certainly taking Puka there. He was a record-breaking rookie from the 5th round, and he, outside the injury, was on track to smash in round 2 in all advanced raw metrics, and now the offense is set up better. Yeah, Tyler, I think it's like injury stupidity, where not like Nico Collins didn't injure himself scoring a touchdown and miss several weeks. So I think I just need to get over that. Year 2, yeah. I knew what you meant. I also I mean, if you don't like those raw metrics, then then what do you you gotta live a little here. Keenan Allen-esque injury fear when he plays a full year, everyone will forget. That is probably true. That is probably true. I was scared of T. Higgins because I thought he was like perennially injured and didn't draft him last year. And then I also, all my finals teams stunk. I don't know if those two things are related or not. It could be. It could be bad. All right, so you know what? Pat, thank you for stopping by. An absolute legend coming by. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Definitely glad to have you. T. Eds, see your one hole pick is already going better than mine because you did get Trey McBride there at 24, which really feels like a great click. I'm always happy to get him in the second, and I love pairing him with Chase. So I think your team is going a little better than mine. Mike Evans misses time every year and no one cares at ADP. I know. It's just like, it's Mike Evans. Like, they literally moved heaven and earth to get him 1,000 yards. Like, it was incredible. And so I want that on my team. It's like if you play UFC MMA, there's certain guys that will just fight for your dollars. They are not going to give up. They're going to go down to the end. Mike Evans, he will fight for your dollars, and I always like him. It always feels good having him on your team, especially seeing that last. It wasn't even his team helped him. It was like, didn't the defensive back kind of slip or kind of let him get another couple yards? There was some greasiness there. I remember. I will take DJ Moore on this team. There's definitely an argument for me to potentially take Kyron and then just go Giga Rams. Good luck on your YouTube journey and congrats on getting started. Pat, thank you so much. It means a lot that you stopped by. Obviously, everyone here is aware of the Fantasy Dog Pound and Pat, and you crush it not only on YouTube, but your results have been pretty epic. So I am glad to have you here. Thank you. McVay and Stafford are those guys. Repuka. That's why I'm super in on Adams. Yeah. No, I love Adams. I am very happy that was his landing spot, and his games. Oh no, this guy went triple quarterback. He took Jalen Hurts. I cannot believe this might get thrown out here. I think my Tyreek exposure is less than 1%. I am a massive Tyreek bear this season. He takes Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle at 38. So we are either Cook Dowdle. We're still okay. We'll see what he does next. Maybe he meant to click Tuba. Maybe he just got his Carolina backs mixed up. Oh, I'm on the clock. I would have loved Mike Evans there. Oh my God. Tyler, should I take Chase Brown? I know all of this talk has me absolutely spooked. And then Pat comes by. It's like a sign from the heavens. Literally tweeting about the dangers of Chase Brown, bragging even about having none of this potential lemon. I will take Chase Brown here. I think they're definitely going to add somebody, but I hope it does not send Brown to the shadow realm. Throwing a fit because he didn't get his pick or player in round one. I don't know. I hope not. Yeah, you and Pat were on the warpath of Chase Brown is going to be potentially not the best pick. And again, I just go back to, we're still going to be taking him in BBM. Everybody in this contest who has him is going to get him at this price. And we're not going to be up against people taking him. If they do draft somebody, that's a different contest. So everybody getting him in the 60s, 70s, 80s, wherever he goes. I don't think it's going to be enough of a drop to like kill your advance rates. And if he's a guy you need in the playoffs, then I'm not really going to care where I took him, as long as I'm not taking him ahead of the ADP here. So that is not to say seeing the Bengals bring in every stud rookie running back has not made me feel really bad about my Chase Brown spares. Yeah, we need beef and spice. We do. But we don't need toxic, angry beef and spice. I do appreciate that, people can disagree about player takes, and, it's like, Davis and Buck, produced this great video where Buck made a very compelling argument for Brandon Ayuk, and I, listened to it, and I disagree. I'm still not taking Brandon Ayuk, but I don't have to, that's just how it goes. You can absorb content and disagree, but I am as big a Brandon Ayuk bear as I think some of you all are Chase Brown bears. But now, he's up after me. Oh, Daniel D. Garcia. Daniel D. Garcia could be too ideological on our part. Yeah. The TLDR for me is like, I don't want to get too hung up on comparing an ADP I'm getting here versus a completely different contest. I do worry that you can end up just like with fade stances on guys who could end up being, quite fantasy relevant, just because they're going to be cheaper in an unrelated event. George Kittle goes, Olave goes. Not a lot of ADP value here. I don't know if I really want to add Joe Mixon to this team. I'll take the exciting rookie. I haven't been taking a ton of Ted McMillan on this team, on my teams, and I probably should be. I was taking him a lot early. So biting the bullet on Burrow because I only have a few left. Yeah. Chase, McBride, Hill, Flowers, and Burrow. I mean, that's pretty good from the one hole, I have to say. And Tiger Uppercut, you've got Jefferson, A-Chain, Wilson, Hampton, and Sutton. That's a pretty strong team out of the 6. Oh, Kevontae Turpin. Guys, I cannot believe Daniel D. Garcia is likely to get this draft thrown out. This is so annoying. This is so annoying. I don't know why people do this. If Connor's price and roll have been sub round 4 for multiple years, I struggle with Chase Brown. 3 rounds higher opportunity cost TLDR. Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. I think we all. I think a lot of us kind of wrote off Connor more than they should have. At least I did. I kept thinking he was like kind of dusty, and he just kept turning it on. I know. The draft doesn't matter. It's a thought, and yeah. People do need to get banned for this. Like I mean, honestly, I know it's punitive, and they probably can't, but you really shouldn't be able to keep your money if you intentionally waste an 11 hour. Like, let's say it takes an hour. There's 11 other people. That's a lot of time to waste. But I'll take Sam Laporta. I like taking an elite tight end there. I know opinions may vary on whether Sam Laporta is an elite tight end or not. I don't think I quite have the power of Davis to directly message Underdog and get Daniel D. Garcia the ban, but maybe I'll mention in the Discord and see if we can't make things happen, because that it really sucks. It really sucks because we're all in here spending our Saturday trying to do something fun, and I guess this has now become something of a mock draft. Deuce Vaughn season. Yeah, I mean, we could theoretically say that you'd be surprised, take draft ID and username and DM Hope and Newmate. Yeah, I guess when this is done, maybe I'll do that. Because it is just so unfortunate. I mean, Dowdle, Turpin, and Vaughn. Maybe they're trying to reconstruct, last year's Cowboys team. Who knows? But again, what is the allure in doing that? Alvin Kamara at 70 is a fairly nice fall there. This is fairly typical for this kind of run of running backs. David Montgomery, not somebody I take a ton of, but I think that makes sense for your team to double tap Montgomery and Judkins there, T-Eds. Calvin Ridley, a guy I find myself taking an awful lot of. Pete did a After Dark where he did a biggest board and took Ridley and agree the point that Ridley's is one of those nice receivers because he opens up a stack with Cam Ward late, and Cam Ward going in the 150s. It is nice to be able to get your stack late, and so I don't mind the Ridley Ward thing at all. Better on Underdog than DK just for touchdowns. Yeah, that's probably true. Again, if it's the same thing we saw last year with Montgomery and Gibbs, then Montgomery probably is a little bit undervalued. I think there's a little bit of lingering injury concern, maybe reflected in the ADP. But I mean, I don't think I've heard anything to suggest that anything's going to change as far as how that rotation goes. So I am coming up. Probably could use a running back here. I know I took it last time. I'll take another Caleb Johnson share. A bit of a faller, but I think lately I've heard a little bit of steam on Caleb Johnson. Again, I don't know. We get close to the draft and things move just for the sake of moving. Don't know if Caleb's actually, there is any real steam on it, or it's just kind of shuffling players around the second round. But I think he's someone we were high on up until the combine. But how much do NFL teams weigh the combine when they have the GPS speeds of the players? And they don't necessarily need to see how fast a player runs with no pads in a track. So Daniel Garcia takes another quarterback, takes Baker Mayfield. Brandon Ayuk goes. So Seth FFL with a pretty typical robust RB start takes 2 running backs and then takes 4 receivers. Daniel Garcia then takes Bo Nix. I am on the clock. On the off chance this does not get thrown out, I will take Caleb Williams. I could have taken Goff, but again, it probably does not matter what I do unless he gets very serious with his remaining picks. Tiger Uppercut taking TJ Hawkinson. I like that pick there. Nice little ADP value on Hawk. Really not worried about the Montgomery injury. MCLs are normally around 6 weeks in the most severe cases and rarely need surgery. Okay. Yeah, I thought that it wasn't an actual worry, but it's just one of those things like people who are fading him will bring up. Frankly, I was shocked they even tried to bring him back at all. But it's one of those things where it's easy for someone not playing to say, oh, they should sit out, when your whole life is competition, and you never know when you're going to be on a team that is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. These guys are wired to get out on the field, and I know Montgomery is such a professional that it's not surprising he tried to push it to get back. So hopefully all that's behind him, and he's not a hard guy to root for. T-Eds, let's see what you do in this beautiful big board mock draft. takes it's lagging for me. All right, Josh Downs of the Colts. He's a guy I don't click on as much as maybe I should. I think I'm a little worried that Anthony Richardson is not as enamored with Josh Downs as the fantasy community is. And Downs' success came more when they when the backup was in than was Flacco. I think it was Flacco. No, I'm losing my mind here. Than when it was Richardson. Tony Pollard is a guy I really like at 97. I think that's a great value on him. But again, we're going to see in this room a lot more ADP values because we have somebody taking guys way after ADP. Once I drafted an underdog team with a sprained wrist, same thing as D-Mont, playing through injury, really. Tiger uppercut, I think I read about that, and I'm glad you made it through that, because that, that shows a level of grit and moxie that is really rare. That is really rare in the underdog streets. T-Eds. If it's Daniel Jones, I have a medium-sized bag of A-Rich that I will be trying to offload with some subprime mortgages to Goldman Sachs. Maybe they're willing to buy. Tiger uppercut is up. Jared Goff. See, I would have taken Jalen Warren on the off chance this is not thrown out. I think I'm going to take Jared Goff because quarterbacks are not going to be plentiful, and now I've been able to stack Sam Laporta, and I could potentially end at 2 quarterbacks with those two. I guess it will depend on what is going on late. I generally don't want a second quarterback this early. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it's not how I tend to like to build. But I did think I needed to adapt a little bit in this room. Good news is Underdog does limit you to 5 quarterbacks, so Daniel Garcia cannot take any more. He makes a normal pick of Travis Etienne. So Warren and Etienne are normal picks. And my understanding is one of the throwing out metrics is projection, and this team will project well with all those quarterbacks. So who the heck knows? If he drafts normal from here on out, I don't know that it's a guarantee. It's a guarantee that we're looking at a toss here. So, we will continue to steer the ship, and hopefully, I've got to do it, guys. I got to take Cam Scatterbo here. And I'm doing it. I would have loved to have taken Bateman or Shaheed. I think those might have been better picks. But I'm really not sure how much we're going to get out of Caleb Johnson. I'm hoping it's something, but being that that's kind of a risky second running back, I did want to add a third. And I do feel good about Puka, London, Moore, in Tet as a starting 4, and hopefully we can but add some firepower to the wide receiver room later. Tiger uppercut adding the aforementioned Pittman Jr. He's a guy that I don't take as much as I probably should. That whole back injury thing really kind of spooked me. That he probably should have gotten back surgery, but I don't think he ever did. So is that going to flare up again this year? But if you are a believer that A-Rich is a starter, then Michael Pittman, I think, is a pretty big value there, right? Weren't we taking him in the 40s or 50s last year in BBM? I don't know. I might be misremembering. But he seems to be the guy that A-Rich locks onto. And, I like that pick. Pittman isn't exciting, but this is pretty late. Yeah, you know what? Tiger uppercut, I think Pittman's plenty exciting. I think Pittman gets a bit of a bad rap. I think we all expected a little more out of him than we got, but he definitely can be a highly productive player. And that, if that Indy offense takes a step forward, if, Anthony Richardson makes some improvements, or even, Daniel Jones, like we've seen Daniel Jones support wide receiver ones before. So there's, I think at 115, that's probably a guy I should have been taking more of, and maybe I will be taking more in BBM when that drops, because I do feel like I probably should have been taking some of him. T. Eds, your one whole team is pretty good. Bateman at 120 is nice, because again, he feels like one of the end of a tier kind of guys, and yeah, I also would have added another quarterback because quarterbacks are going to be so wonky in this room. You could legitimately get frozen out, and like Drew Crow here has no quarterbacks. Tiger Uppercut, I believe he's in the chat. Tiger Uppercut, you don't have any quarterbacks, buddy. I hope you have a plan, brother. But also JB Wood has no quarterbacks, so Tiger Uppercut, I worry for you. I guess it's just my now having a child, I feel like I need to care more about this world, and I don't want to see anybody go without, and that includes in big board draft somebody going without a quarterback. But I also know you have to let people make their own choices. So I was not trying to browbeat you into taking into a quarterback there. So I hope you did not feel pressured to do that. Whereas I am going to take Hollywood Brown. I feel like other people are higher on Brown than I am, but as a fifth receiver, it does seem like the Chiefs really did want to make him more involved in the offense, and he just got hurt, and really didn't come back with enough time to make any kind of difference in their Super Bowl run. But not my favorite click, but not somebody who I'm actively trying to fade. And this range of player, or this range of team is a little sketchy. Yeah, Daniel Garcia just took Keon Coleman, so who the heck knows? They are now making reasonable picks to the point where I am definitely on the fence if this is going to get thrown out or not. Maybe I should have taken Hollywood if I didn't go May for QB reasons. Yeah, but I like Drake May, and again, there's always the chance that there are leg up people lurking and taking notes, and you don't want to be on their bad side by passing on Drake May when it would have made sense, because no, I do like the Drake May pick. I think that was fine. I hope It's a Wrap does not take Keenan Allen for me, because I would add him to this team, thinking he is going to go back to Chicago, but we will see. They take Jaden Higgins, so I've never said yay. I got the 75-year-old receiver and been excited that somebody took the exciting rookie that I've been clicking all winter and spring. But I do think Keenan Allen's going to go back to Chicago, and potentially built a little Bears stack here with Moore and Allen. Tootin, the exciting rookie prospect, goes to Tiger Uppercut, who is now set at quarterback with one J.J. McCarthy. I'd be shocked if this doesn't get thrown out. Yeah, I think I'd still lean towards this being thrown out, but A, it may not, and B, at least if it doesn't get thrown out, this has been more of a realistic exercise than it would have been if someone's like legitimately just taking people that aren't drafted and then you're just getting like combinations and ADPs that are, impossible to get another time. So Michael Penix goes. Definitely, if I wanted to go 3 QBs, there was an argument that I could have taken Stafford or Penix, but I think with Goff and Caleb, I'm okay pushing it. If I want to try to take one of the late rookies, I can take a stab there. I am currently 7 picks away. I'll pull the board back up for everybody. So our friend T-Ed's on the clock. Takes Tua. Makes sense. He's got Tyreek Hill on that team. And what will he do as we await the pick of T-Ed's winding down the clock? Sweat, the lone bead of sweat dripping down his furrowed brow to take Dallas Goedert. I love Dallas Goedert at 145, but he's going late because he might get traded. And, when there's trade risk, people act like they're going to get traded to, like, the Toronto Argonauts. I think the team looks good. And, like, if some team trades for him, they're probably going to use him. I would argue it's probably bad for whatever tight end we've been drafting from that team. I certainly like, there's been a little bit of, like, the only team I've really heard Goddard to would be, like, New England, and I think that would just send, like, Hunter Henry to sub-zero. Like, I think Dallas Goedert is just a significantly better player. All right, so we are up. And what does this team need? I think this team needs another running back. And then the question is, which one? I'm kind of out on Devin Neal. I have a lot of him from earlier. Isaac Guerrero is a guy kind of a polarizing pick. There's a chance he ends up being a 0 if the Niners bring somebody else in, or if, frankly, CMC is just plain healthy and gets all the work, and Guerrero, maybe subs in for a few plays but doesn't do anything. But he could be a big contingent upside guy. So, he's a guy I don't want 0 of. I have plenty of Giddens, Harvey, Neal. So maybe a more adult pick was in order there. But certainly, this is one of those places where something like an overlay would have helped me make my decision there. Haven't clicked on Neal in over a month. Yeah, I don't blame you. I've been backing off of my Devin Neal exposure. So Daniel D. Garcia again makes a normal selection. Somewhat frustrating. Why were you not doing this all along? But alas, this is the hand we have been dealt. Let's see what comes around. Jerome Ford going at 156, still really the only name in Cleveland running back worth taking. And if he can fend off some draft competition, Jerome Ford at 156, we're going to look back on and say was just an absolute steal. Yeah, Dylan Sampson, another reasonable pick from Daniel D. Garcia. So who the heck knows? Maybe it was an honest mistake of like a star method disaster. They were trying to queue up some late round guys they like. I will make my pick, and then I will tell you all a tale of woe, which I'm sure you're all really excited to hear. I'll just take DJ Giddens here. I'm gonna just take DJ Giddens, and that is fine as my 5th running back. So I was doing the scramble, like the golf best ball tournament when it launched, and I opened the draft and I legitimately just like star methoded all my late round sleepers, and then it took like an hour to fill, and I completely forgot I entered it. And then about 8 rounds in, I like picked up my phone and I had all of the like you're on the clock messages, and I had just autoed the worst, late round golfers. And then like a week later, got the email that the draft was canceled. I was like, oh, and I feel bad because I did it. I wasted a whole bunch of people's time, and I still feel bad about it. But it was an honest mistake. I just queued up a bunch of guys because I hadn't done any, so I didn't have ranks in. It was my first scramble. So I am sympathetic to things can go wrong, which is why I don't think you should get banned if it happens once, because there can be a benign explanation. But if you are a repeat offender, like you're just a troll at that point. Yeah, we might be alive. We don't know. RJ Harvey feels like a really nice pick there for T-Eds. I was between Giddens and Harvey myself. Let's see. I'm just going to see what my team needs. I'll probably just take another quarterback before this is over. But yeah, feeling decently about this crew. Now it's really going to depend if this draft holds up. Tyler Algier makes a ton of sense. One of the better contingent upside plays on the board. Bill Rand takes the falling Bryce Young. Let's see what comes around to us. So for those of you just joining, we had somebody go triple elite QB and then take Rico Dowdle, Devontae Turpin, and Deuce Vaughn for reasons unknown. Took 2 more QBs, but more or less at ADP, and then proceeded to draft in a perfectly reasonable and cromulent fashion. Sure, they need to catch up at wide receiver, but I think that's how many receivers Gritty had in his draft, and nobody has ever criticized him for his constructions. So Tiger Uppercut is up to bat here. Let me just see the quarterback situation. Yeah, we are down to the rookies. Tiger Uppercut takes the player I would have been very happy taking. Thanks, Tiger Uppercut. No, I like Jalen Knoll. I think he's one of the better clicks in this range of receiver. I'll take Brenton Strange despite Underdog inexplicably changing the Jacksonville shorthand from JAX to JAC. I hate it. I don't know if the NFL did it and Underdog followed suit, but JAC for me is very off-putting for some reason. I don't know. That is probably some weird OCD that I have. But if you share that feeling, then no, you are not alone, because I too am outraged by that change. He takes another running back. So he's got 7 running backs. My God. But at least he's taking people at ADP. I thought we were. Oh, we did. We got a nice. Look at this green cube here. I mean, how often do you see that? Not often. But but here we are. All right, Io Manor goes, which is unfortunate because that's somebody I would have been interested in taking. Kyle Williams has been getting a ton of steam lately. He's somebody I've been trying to get more of and have failed miserably at doing so. I'm going to queue up my guy, Jack Betch. Again, this is sort of like the two-factor authentication that this is a Chad Candle. This is really me. I took Cam Scatabo and I took Jack Betch. So you all know it is really me behind the screen doing this, because I have a alarming amount of Jack Betch exposure. I really think he's going to go in the second, if not the first, and hopefully to a good spot, because I am way over invested in Jack Betch, at least before you could get him in the 19th and 20th round. But again, there's very little difference between the 16th round and the 19th round. It is, as said earlier, is really a bit of a social construct. So I'll pull back up the board. I heard that Amari Cooper re-signed with the Browns. But then if you click his blurb, it's not there. So we just not care about Amari Cooper anymore, or was that like a fake report and I've been bamboozled? Either way, I'm not drafting him, but this is more just out of like curiosity for when he's like $3,500 in DraftKings week 1, when I'm scrolling, and and then people are like, asking the DFS content providers, oh, Amari Cooper, he's only 3,500. That's where your edge will lie, people, in week 1 is fading the cheap Amari Cooper wherever he goes. T-Eds takes Mario Douglas, building out his New England stack. Makes a lot of sense. And A.D. Mitchell, I think you had, did you? Yeah, you had Josh Downs. So I don't know if you're trying to stealthily take Daniel Jones later. Do not worry. Your secret is safe with me, T-Eds. I will not go out of my way to draft Daniel Jones from you, but that is what I assume is happening there. Tiger Uppercut, I saw you take Damian Martinez. Again, this proves that you truly are the Tiger Uppercut of the Matic Discord, because this is a very slappy 15th and 16th round out of you, Jalen Knoll and Damian Martinez. Just making larger team bets, will not be selecting. Oh, okay. No, I'm just kidding. I believe you. But either way, I will make sure to leave to leave him there for you. I'm gonna take the plunge on Shadur Sanders at this point. He's gonna be playing at the end of the season. Where he's playing, who the heck knows? But I'll just add him to this team. I think this is going to be a standard 3-6-8-3 team. And if Sanders, Dart, and Milroe go, I'm going to be, left a little disappointed, because I did want a third quarterback on this. I mean, I could have stopped at 2 with Caleb and Goff. I'm not trying to be too much of a bye week bro, but sometimes divisional opponents can end up with the same bye week. It's also, if you're really, really sweaty, people don't like, if you have 2 quarterbacks, they don't like them facing off in week 17. Somebody, one of the big publications, like you said, like basically that's suboptimal. My argument is, like, if I'm in week 17, I'm just happy to be there. And if my 2 QBs are playing, in the one in every 8 years you make a BBM final, then so be it. But again, we will avoid that potential outcome and take a third quarterback and hopefully escape any bye week issues. Don't think I have any particular late round receivers attached to any of these quarterbacks. Not super enamored with any of my wide receiver options. Again, I'm really looking to just mix up the running backs I get late. I like Juwan Johnson. I do worry a little without Derek Carr, how he's going to do. Is a wrap. Not scared of the Derek Carr news. I'll take Diami Brown, not because I have come around on the JAC thing, but he really might be, the receiver across from BTJ, and that might not be the worst role in the NFL. He showed some ability with the Commanders last year, and I don't mind taking him as an 8th receiver. Tiger Uppercut, adding Jackson Dart. Tiger Uppercut, I consider taking Dart over Sanders. I definitely think there's an argument that Dart has a much better chance of being a fantasy league winner than Sanders does, because Dart has some rushing upside to him. So I don't mind that at all. Part of it's that I literally have like 25% Jackson Dart, and I think that is too much. So there we go. We see Jalen Milroe go. Jalen Milroe, of course, now famously invited to the NFL draft. The NFL has apparently said that they don't want teams just marinating in the green room all night. It's a bad look. It's embarrassing. But again, I do worry that the people sending out the invitations and the mock draft, people reviewing mock drafts might not be one and the same. So who the heck knows if that's actually the NFL has some indication of him, going in the first. Yes, Danny Dimes. I saw him go off the board. I thought it was to you for a second. JB Wood may also get this thrown out. Because why? Because his team's not good? I don't know what JB Wood. I don't know what JB Wood did. I'm sorry. I should be paying closer attention here. I'm up next, so I'm going to need to take somebody. Yeah, no, he only has Herbert at quarterback, I believe. No worries. I'm going to take a Taj Brooks share. Again, just trying to mix up some of these late round running backs. Maybe I should have taken a tight end because that could go off a cliff. But, with Laporta, I'm really counting on him being the guy to hit lineups. Yeah, JB has one quarterback. Good luck, buddy. Yeah, it is brutal. This was a tough room if you only got one quarterback. There's also a chance that JB Wood is not doing this with good friends like we are, and he abandoned this draft after seeing what Daniel D. Garcia did. But honestly, I don't know if this is going to get thrown out. That might be enough to do it. But again, it's a little bit of a slippery slope, which drafts you throw out versus which you don't. And if all they do is go off of projections, I don't think this team is going to project that bad to where it might get flagged. So I don't know. And again, if that guy had a star method debacle and recovered, I don't know. It's a tough call, right? It's a tough call because it is unfair to go against super teams in rooms where people were able to get crazy stuff. But I'm hesitant to say that there's super teams in here. I mean, being that I'm streaming this, I should probably call my team a super team and then make the thumbnail did the big board just get one on August 12th? I'm not enough of a showman to pull that off, but I will go over this team, and then this unfortunately will have to be my last draft. But I've got Caleb, Goff, and Sanders at QB, Chase Brown, Caleb Johnson, Scatabo, Garendo, Giddens, and Taj Brooks at running back, Puka, Drake London, DJ Moore, Ted McMillan, Hollywood Brown, Keenan Allen, Jack Betch, Diami Brown at receiver, Laporta, Strange, and Elijah Arroyo at tight end to round out the team. Again, thank you guys so much for coming by. Tiger Uppercut ends this team with a Kirk Cousins ad. He told me not to worry about quarterback, and he was right. You have 4 quarterbacks. Don't mind your team at all. I think your team came out pretty good. T-Eds, I think your team came out great from the one hole. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think your team is strong. Yeah, thanks again. Thanks so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. It is so much more fun doing this with you all, and I am going to try to run it back tomorrow. So I guess for posterity, I will sign off when the last pick gets made. So anyone tuning in late can watch as Marquez Valdez-Scantling goes off the board, and then T-Eds ends the stream with a selection. I should have started this 10 seconds later because, plug your nose. Plug your nose, he says. I'll even take my thing off the stage so that nobody is blocked from seeing. Oh no, does the draft just end and we don't know? Oh no. I'm gonna have to go into past drafts. Well, now I cannot leave this unturned. If I click your name, does it come up? Is it Elijah Mitchell? No. I don't know who you took. The draft is over. Oh my god. All right. Well. All right. I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up this way. My goodness. Now this is why people tune in, because I will go to the edge of the earth to find out who our friend T. Eds took with his last pick. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I actually love that pick. I have no problem with that. What a great note to end the stream on, with a Nick Westbrook-Ikhine as part of a Dolphin stack. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Would love it if you could like and subscribe, but I will see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone.